Guess who's back?
Guess who's back,
In
baby
the library.
doll?
Yeah.
We're back in the library. We are here today to talk about two films.
Two films.
Our first double feature. To introduce ourselves, I am Javier.
I am Thano, and if there was anything that deserved a double feature, it is not. It is not this pair.
Listen, man. All right, so hear me out, everybody at home. Hear me out.
Millions of fans.
Millions of fans. So, if you had told me that this summer I would watch the worst movie of the year,
Yep.
I probably would have said.
Probably
not, but
Sure.
here,
Yeah, okay.
here is my card showing you that I went to see The Secrets of Dumbledore. Because I wholeheartedly hated that movie. I did enjoy it in like a dumb, like monkey brain, lizard brain part of my head. But it was bad. So then we decided we were going to go watch Crimes of the Future.
Yes.
The return to the director's chair for David Cronenberg, who, if I recall, you said you were not very familiar with,
Not
right?
very familiar with. I knew about the fly from the Simpsons episode.
Wow.
Yes.
So Cronenberg is very well known for body horror.
Yeah.
Now I will say that I am going to be making a lot of distinctions in this between horror and gore. Right? Like, I feel like body horror does not always mean that a movie is horror.
Yes.
You can get a lot of body horror in a thing like a sci-fi movie, which this is very much a sci-fi movie.
Halo,
you can get body horror, especially with The Flood.
Yep.
But not exclusive to horror.
Correct.
Right? Like, I would say that you get a lot of body horror in Saw.
Yes.
But Saw movies are more like suspense thrillers. They are not a horror jump scare movie, right? So very big distinctions. So Cronenberg is known for those body horror movies, but he's actually been off the body horror game for a while.
Yeah.
So he did a movie not too long ago. It's like back in 2005, A History of Violence.
Okay.
The what?
The Bush years.
The Bush years, yes. Yeah. A History of Violence, which, yes, it's a very violent movie. There are some, shootouts that lead to some gross-looking, effects. But overall, he has been off of the body horror, full-on gross shit since, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. A big movie that he's known for is, obviously, The Fly, Videodrome, and he did Scanners, which is the famous GIF that I'm assuming you've seen of the guy whose head just explodes.
Yes.
That's from Scanners.
I see.
So everybody has seen that reaction GIF. GIF, right?
It's pronounced GIF, but I will say GIF.
I will always say GIF, so that's what I stand with. Okay. I was hoping it would be good.
Yeah?
I was really hoping for some just nasty, nasty shit.
Yeah?
And boy, oh boy, was I disappointed.
Yeah. So I went to go see this movie on Friday, unexpectedly. With my...
Kind of last minute.
Yeah, my good buddy Javier here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After we saw this movie, he said that on Monday we were going to see the other movie that's part of our double feature today.
Well,
Yes.
Let's set this up.
Yes.
Because I said, hey, did you hear that Morbius is coming back to theaters? And you were like, why? And I was like, I don't know, but the memes. And then I was like, this movie was really bad. But, you want to watch something bad but fun?
Well, you said wait till you didn't say bad but fun. You said wait till you see Morbius, right?
Fair.
Which is what our double feature is today.
Yes.
It's Crimes of the Future and
Morbius.
So I was expecting to be challenged in my perception of badness for this first film. I thought Morbius might give this
a run
for its really bad.
So that was my bad, because my intention were to do the opposite.
But I am here to tell our millions and millions of fans that objectively, Crimes of the Future is the worst movie I have seen in a long time. For me, And it is objectively not as good of a film as Sony Pictures' Morbius.
As Marvel Legend
Morbius.
That's very fair.
Yes.
So, I don't know that Crimes of the Future is the worst movie that I've seen all around.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a plot purpose, or from a plot standpoint, I think it is.
Yep.
But it does have a lot going for it.
I'm going to disagree.
Ooh,
I'm
interesting.
disagree.
So we'll discuss.
Yes.
We'll discuss more. So we'll introduce both our of our movies.
Yep.
Here's the thing, bud.
Yeah.
These movies don't deserve a non-spoiler thing.
Nope.
We're just gonna go in.
And what is there to spoil?
There is nothing to spoil. I feel like by now, if you've seen Morbius, it's because you've seen the memes.
Yes, and if you've seen a superhero movie,
you've seen Morbius.
Yeah.
And then as far as Crime of the Future go, like you can go into the movie knowing damn well what's going to happen. You'll come out knowing nothing of what the fuck happened.
I would be concerned of spoiling the plot if there were a plot. But there is no plot.
There is no plot. The movie doesn't know where it's going.
Correct.
I feel. He said, as he directed 50 award-winning movies from the confines of his chair in the basement of his suburban house.
There is a great poem by Alexander Pope called Essay on Criticism, and it does make a case for the fact that though the critic is not does not do the same thing that the artist does, there is an equally important role for the critic in society.
Fair.
So you know what?
You know what the funny thing is? The other day when we did our recording for Top Gun Maverick, in the very same location of the lovely Aurora Branch
West Branch
Library. I timed. How long will it take for Donna to mention some poet or some philosopher? And it was 7 minutes. And then today, it took you 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But
art is always relevant.
Art is always relevant.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start
Yeah.
by talking about the movie that we did not have fun with.
No.
Because I feel like we're going to get this out of the way and then we're going to have some fun with Morbius.
It was fun to hate.
It was, yes. I wish this movie had been emptier. So we could have fully shit on it while it was happening.
So read the synopsis first.
Yes.
And then I'll comment on the emptiness.
So, the synopsis for this movie is, as the human species adapts to a synthetic environment, the body undergoes a new transformations and mutations. Accompanied by his partner, celebrity performance artist Saul Tenser, showcases the metamorphosis of his organs. Meanwhile, a mysterious group tries to use Saul's notoriety to shed light on the next phase of human evolution.
So I'll make 3 comments.
Please do, because I think they might be similar to what I have to say about this.
Number 1, when I'm reading this description, while not completely foreign to what I experienced, I still don't feel that accurately portrays what I experienced. Number 2, when the film introduced that our protagonists were performance artists, I'm not going to lie, that's where it kind of lost me. And then number 3, so we were in mostly an empty theater with a few isolated individuals there.
Yes.
All men. I don't think there was anybody who was female presenting in that theater.
I think at the front there were 2. There were a couple.
Oh. Well, I didn't notice them. But I will say that this doesn't apply to us because we went together.
Yes.
But I think
power couple.
I think every man who went into that movie alone needs to be put on a list and monitored.
I don't know. I could have been put on that list if I didn't go with you.
That is some near pedo shit.
And we will discuss that. That was the one thing. So all right. So before we saw this movie, we had heard the buzz, and
I haven't heard any buzz.
I thought I sent you the.
Yes,
right?
I take that back. I heard the buzz from you.
Yes. Yeah. So you always have to temper your expectations for what you hear coming out of the festival circuits.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can hear that a movie is really good.
Yeah.
And it's usually good. sometimes you hear that a movie is like appalling in some way. That's where you kind of got to be more careful.
Yeah.
Because people have different sensibilities, right?
Yeah.
But people were saying that this movie like made some people walk out. Some people were feeling queasy. And I was like, you know what? This is David Cronenberg. He's earned that. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I was kind of hyped.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't really get...
I never felt queasy.
There was nothing in this movie that I feel like stood out that I couldn't see somewhere else.
Yes.
Except for maybe one thing.
Yes.
I don't think I want to see that anywhere else.
Yep.
So that was already kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
As far as like from a whole movie standpoint. I do think that by making the main characters, Saul, Tensor, and Caprice, by making them performance artists, I don't know if it's a way for him to like try to shit on like the pretentiousness, but it does not work.
Even if he's trying to shit on it, he's automatically in it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's where I feel like if he's trying to make a commentary, it falls flat.
Just like earlier this year, we talked about how the generational trauma genre needs to go.
Yes.
The movies about art and the making of art not just need to go, but needed to go for a long time.
Yeah, with one exception.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. It is... whatever fucking timestamp it is now, this still applies. It's a genre that I love, and actually a lot of poetry and a lot of like classic stuff. It's not new.
No.
It is not
new
to comment on the making of art, right?
Mm-mm.
I think when it hits, it hits. The trap that I think some people fall into is that they think that just because they're in this conversation, automatically whatever they take has been elevated. It's elevated Lunchables.
Yes.
Right? But in this case, this was not even Lunchables.
No.
This was Aldi brand.
This is like Cheese Whiz.
Yeah.
On an Aldi cracker.
Yes.
All right, so just to give a background, so we talked about the synopsis, and the movie does follow Vigo as our main character.
Looking like Morbius. A lot of the film.
He really does. A connection I was not expecting. He has this condition where his body is producing organs.
Yep.
Like, it just constantly just pumps out new shit. And it is painful. You are told this. Yeah. You are not really shown this. You kind of see it a little bit.
You are shown these weird, organic-looking machines.
Yes.
That do something.
But you don't know what.
And do we know why they need to look organic?
No.
Okay.
Because Cronenberg, basically.
It's both a boring movie and an ugly movie.
It becomes a situation where you kind of go, is this just weird for the sake of being weird? Yeah. And the answer is yes. Absolutely. So he has this thing. His partner tattoos the organs with something.
Right.
And then the whole point of their performance, quote unquote, is that she performs surgery on him and removes the organ and shows it to the audience.
And people are amazed.
People are like jerking themselves off about this. They get off on this, right? They make that very clear. One of the big talking points for this movie was surgery is the new sex.
And here's why I'm mad.
Go on.
All right. There's nothing in the directing. Do you mind if I jump ahead a little bit?
Go for it. This movie's a mess.
So when we pull out the organs of the naked boy.
Oh, yeah.
The dead naked boy, right? I'm not going to even talk about his nakedness yet. But we pull them out, and then he has this condition that lets him eat plastic, right?
Yes.
Apparently people think he's a freak. They pull out the organs, and they're tattooed, and like people are disgusted by it. Right?
I'll push back on that, but go on.
I didn't see anything different in those organs than I did in any other organs.
So that's the point that you missed.
Okay.
So, throughout the movie,
yeah,
we are introduced to Detective Cope.
Yes.
He is a very good-looking black gentleman.
Yeah.
With a very nice accent.
Yeah. Does not look like a detective.
Does not look like a detective. He just looks like some motherfucker off the street. Yep. You find out that he is actually Saul Tenser's like partner. Mm-hmm. You find out that Saul is an undercover officer. Mm-hmm. He does have this condition, and he has embedded himself in like the art scene to help basically weed out something. Which, when I saw that, I was like, "This is getting interesting." Yeah. But it just goes nowhere. Yeah. So not the point to your thing. At the end of the movie, you find out that they were able to get a hold of the body, mm-hmm. and they did replace the organs from the boy with normal organs. Right. And he says people are not ready to know that this change is happening. Mm-hmm. So there is a change.
But are the people not perturbed? Isn't their reaction?
Their reaction is that they're more upset by kind of like what a waste of time this is. This is nothing out of the ordinary. This is not what we wanted.
I can relate.
They were like the implication is they were promised like a new thing, something interesting and something new, and this just ended up being a dead kid for the sake of being a dead kid. Yeah. Which is why the dad is so disappointed because he's like, I know something is different, and then he gets killed by the two like weird drill baby Joe ladies. Yeah. Yes. Again, it's a lot of. This movie has a lot of themes and a lot of interesting concepts mm-hmm. that genuinely would be cool. The people are. It says even in the synopsis it says the body is adapting to live in a synthetic world. This is like near-ish future set in your homeland.
Sadly set in my homeland.
Set in your homeland.
The Athenian graffiti is abundant. So I think maybe one of my problems is that the world itself. Okay, so I'm reading the synopsis, and I think they're putting a lot of heavy lifting on this word synthetic. Yes. Because the world itself is just not synthetic, but it's so sterile and like barren, and there's very little music in this movie, right? Yes. That, to me, the movie is telling me we're living in a dystopian society, but I don't see it, other than everybody just acting weird, stupid.
Yes. Yes. So we are again told and not shown that humans are they are changing. Yeah. They no longer feel pain. They are not affected by bacteria. Yeah. And because of that, it has led to them finding new like adrenaline, inducing things. Right. Which is where you see a lot of people hooking up, but instead of them hooking up, they're getting cut. Yes. Right? And it's that, the taboo of, now that we don't feel the pain, we can do what we want with our body. But again, they don't explore that enough. No. It seems like they kind of address it a little bit when you see Caprice go visit her friend and she's got the weird cuts on her face. Yeah. That she is making her face look like she has gills, which I thought was kind of interesting. But that's the only thing in the whole movie that's kind of showing that.
That, and also pretty much everything that shows people is like that art scene, mm-hmm. right? And everything's kind of in this literal underground of these dark, dingy hallways and clubs. So it seems like these are people who are separate than the rest of society.
Yeah, you don't see what the common folk.
Exactly.
You get a hint of it. Yeah. With the mom of the boy, because the movie starts with the mom.
But she's even remote, right? That's in some beach house far mm-hmm. away. Yep.
Yeah. There is a lot of implied story. Yeah. Which doesn't always work. Exactly. You need you can imply as much as you want, but you gotta have things to back it up. You can't just imply it and then just leave it hanging completely, not addressing it at all. Yeah. So the whole, I like the idea of the body changing because we made so much plastic that is what's killing our planet, for the most part, it's a plastic. We can't really get rid of our plastic, right?
Right. I'm another point on that in a bit, but continue.
Sure. They say that, like, people did a surgery on themselves to make it so that, like, their digestive system can process plastics. Mm-hmm. So then they start making their own new food out of, like, recycled plastic, which is lethal to, like, normal people.
Right.
And then the boy inherits that from the dad.
Right.
The mom hates it. She sees it like as a weird, like,
he's a freak.
He's a freak.
Which so I also don't get, but continue.
Yeah, so she kills him because he's, like, sitting there eating a garbage bin.
Yeah.
But again, it's just one of those things, like, they tell you.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
So maybe I will put my cards on the table and I will say maybe I am not smart enough to appreciate
We just had the conversation, Donald, that we are too smart to be this poor, so I will push back on you there.
We'll say it until it's true. But I'll put my cards on the table. Maybe I'm not smart enough to fully understand what's going on. Or maybe I need to watch this more.
So have I said something that you were like, huh?
When the thing that I missed with, like, the double agent thing and the organs.
Okay.
I was like, huh.
Okay.
But separate from that. The way they make the mom disgusted by the boy and his organs, right? Juxtaposed with Gill Lady and all these people, like, who are amazed at this performance art. The movie, it was not believable for me that this mom would be disgusted by that trait in the kid, right? Just the way that this society runs, I was like, oh, like, people are simultaneously disgusted by the plastic-eating boy, but, like, everything else that's going on is hunky-dory.
I think it's the fact that, so the dad...
Yes.
...says that, like, he is naturally born...
With this,
and, like, the mom says that he, like, produced, like, an ooze that would melt shit.
Yeah, and even still, I'm not like,
this is worth killing your kid over.
Right. I didn't buy that choice from the mom.
Fair.
Right? And, like, granted, she cries after doing it, but then when Vigo confronts her, she's like, this kid was, like,
remorseless. Like, there's no remorse at all.
Right. So I did not buy that decision making from the film. The other thing, I think where, like, the whole plastic and its relationship with the environment comes in is us importing our own understanding of plastic onto that.
Mm-hmm.
But the film is not showing you environmental hellscape.
Nope.
Nor is it saying anything about sustainability, destruction of society. All of that is absent. And the fact is that, like, so many movies have done that where it would be very easy to, like, rope us into that conversation, right? And it's to the point where I'm like, was he just expecting us to jump there? Which, to be honest, I did, but in that case it still doesn't feel conjoined with the rest of the film. Mm-hmm. Or B, was he just, like, not interested in that conversation at all?
I think it's a product of this man is too big for his britches, like I said that day.
Yeah.
And nobody was willing to give his script a second look and say, hey man, how about you fill in some gaps?
Yeah.
Because there are, and I will go back to my point, there is a lot of high concept shit here that has no payoff.
Yes.
And that is a flaw in where we're focused. We are focused on the underground performance art scene. We are told from the beginning that this is not like an outward, like, everybody's doing this. Yeah. This is a niche community, right?
And you only see this
and that's the problem, because we are so focused on this niche community. Yeah. What the fuck do we care that people are able to eat plastic? Because, like you said, we don't see that there are piles and piles of garbage. It just looks like some nasty, like, alleyways.
And it's not even that we don't see it. It's not... we see the undergrounds. We see like they're in Athens, right?
Sure.
We see that shipyard where he goes to meet the cop. Mm-hmm. We see places. Those places are like absent from people, but there's no like reference to like all the people
all the people
died.
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody is so conscientiously hiding underground would make you think that there are like people abound. You just don't see them.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yes.
There are a few people in this movie that are like big name.
And they act well.
This
movie is well acted.
The movie, I feel like, is well acted, and it's relatively well shot.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like scenes were too dark. Scenes were well lit.
Yeah.
Cinematography-wise, I thought it was interesting. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I had to hold in laughter, and some of the times it stuck out. Seeing Viggo Mortensen looking like a fucking ninja. He's like hiding in the corner, crouching down with his hoodie on and his like mouth covered. It was, yeah. So like, overall it was well acted. People were saying that Kristen Stewart, they're like, oh, you haven't seen Kristen Stewart like this before. I'm like, motherfucker, she spent the first like few years of her career mumbling and talking fast. That's exactly what she's doing here.
I wasn't impressed with Kristen Stewart, but I thought she did a good job.
She did a good job for what the role was.
Yeah, what she was supposed to do.
But I feel like no one here deserves any sort of award, but also I don't feel like anyone here deserves like a Razzie.
No.
Right?
Actually, if anything, I wanted more Kristen Stewart.
Yes. Yeah. She was a character that I could have gotten. So you haven't seen X.
No.
Which is where I feel like her character could have gone down the route that a character goes in X.
I see.
Where she is exposed to this new sort of
way of life,
and that leads her to want to join in. Mm-hmm. We get told by her that she is interested in joining this.
And it's set up in the fact that she would be a much more central figure.
Yes, and I think at one point she does say, I would like to join one of your performances.
Yeah.
But again,
that's it.
Setup and zero execution.
Yeah.
So, like, those are, like, we keep falling, like, these are the pitfalls that this movie falls into.
Yeah.
That there is so much set up. In a perfect world where this movie is given 3 hours, maybe it's fleshed out and maybe it's better. 3 hours. But I could not imagine staying until 3 hours.
This was already boring.
This is already boring, and it was an hour 47.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, even the body horror wasn't great.
I never screamed.
No. Yeah. And things look like gross, sure. But a lot of it looked fake. Like the organ shots, they looked fake.
All the incisions looked fake to me.
The incisions looked fake. It was a lot of like big ideas with zero substance, I feel. And you can also tell that like this movie is not hitting with people.
Correct.
So like I don't know if you saw the bottom of the thing that I sent you. It has a budget of $35 million, which I'm like, where is this budget going?
It's funny because I thought that part of the scenery was that they wanted to keep like stuff cheap.
$35 million is a big budget.
Yeah.
Like I've seen
for no setting.
For
no setting.
You have maybe 4 or 5 different sets in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't think any of them get destroyed enough for you to be like, yep, that's all our budget.
Yep.
It made $1 million here. $1.1 million in the States.
Excellent.
And we were responsible
for that. We contributed to that. But I'm so happy.
1.4 international. But I can't believe that the critics loved this. So 78% for all critics, 84% for top critics, with an average of like 6.5, and I think it was like 6.9 for the verified critics. The audience score, I feel like, is more our speed.
Where are you getting these numbers from, by the way?
Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, so I'm going to look up another movie.
Sure.
While I look up this movie,
Mm-hmm.
what movie do you think it is?
It's a Morbius.
No.
Is it a movie that we also hated?
No, but I'm going to say this movie, and I think that you might find it comparable.
Have we reviewed this movie?
We have not reviewed this movie. We didn't see this together either.
Oh, then I am at a loss. Enlighten me.
Here we go. 2017.
2017.
I'll name you one star, and you tell me if you can.
Okay.
If you can guess which movie it is. Javier Bardem.
2017 with Javier Bardem.
Yep.
No.
Mother.
I have not seen Mother.
Okay.
So
68% tomato meter. 51%
Mm-hmm.
audience score.
Interesting.
Yeah. How does that... Oh, that movie was also only 2 hours. This movie, Mother, feels a lot longer than it actually is.
Really?
Yeah. If you ever go back and watch Mother, compare it to this movie, and then you tell me how comparable you think they are.
But here's the problem, right? You go into Mother, you go into it expecting a Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yeah.
You go into this movie expecting like body horror.
Yeah, which is what we kind of got.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like you don't get a lot of what you're expecting.
I see.
So I feel like that's, to me,
the difference,
right? So I don't see this movie even remotely getting a cult following. No. You can have a movie that's bad and maybe has some redeeming qualities, and you can go, maybe in a few years people will discover this and...
Like another film.
That we'll
soon discuss.
Oh, absolutely. But man, I just don't see this movie picking up any sort of... Whether it be ironic or legitimate.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I would say, don't watch this.
Don't watch.
Yeah. Don't give them... Pirate it if you need to.
Yeah.
But you are missing zero.
It's a waste of your time.
It is. And you know what? I don't say that about a lot of movies. I don't say that about the movie we're going to talk about next.
Let's just say that evening we spent about a half hour waiting in line for pierogies. That could have potentially been a better use of our time than this film.
I had more fun talking to you and shitting on people that we were like seeing around us, waiting in line for pierogies, than I did watching this movie.
Yeah.
So you know what time it is now? Look at the clock.
It's not tool time. It's not time to duel.
It is not time to duel.
Is it clobbering time?
It is not. Oh no, you're close.
No, is it Morbin time?
It's Morbin time. Oh boy. So for some background, so we are going to talk now about, we're completely switching gears into another movie that was critically panned, right?
Undeservedly.
So we just talked about, so normally we save this to the end, right? We talk about tomato meters and audience reception until the end. But Rotten Tomatoes for Morbius, 17% for critics, 12% for top critics.
No.
With a ranking of 3.8 out of 10.
No.
I'm sorry.
And let me say, it's not good.
No.
But it's not terrible.
Yes.
Yes.
So this, I feel, falls under a movie that is not as self-aware as it should be.
Yeah.
It should be a little bit more self-aware. It should be more fun with the subject matter.
Right. But it's a little self-aware.
A little bit. I feel like there are some characters that are more than others, right?
There's one character.
There's one particular character. So let's talk about our wonderful friend Michael Morbius. Yes. Do you want to read? I want you to read this synopsis because this synopsis got me good.
One of the most compelling and conflicted characters in Sony Picture universe, I don't know about that, of Marvel characters comes to the big screen as Oscar winner Jared Leto, and piece of shit, transforms into the enigmatic anti-hero Michael Morbius. Dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder and determined to save others suffering his same fate, Dr. Morbius attempts a desperate gamble. Well, at first, it seems to be a radical success. A darkness inside him is unleashed. Will good override evil, or will Morbius succumb to his mysterious new urges?
Very good. Audacity.
I also don't feel that accurately represents what I saw.
No.
No.
Yeah. So, first of all,
it's not very interested in good and evil.
It is not a good and evil.
Yeah. In fact, of all the vampire movies that are interested in good and evil, this might be one of the least interested in good and evil.
Yep. Yeah. This is, do you want to be fun or boring as a vampire, I feel.
Yeah.
Here's the other problem. The Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement. That's a bold statement. And then, like, do you get the feeling when you first see Michael Morbius transform into vampire that this thing is a radical success? Because he starts massacring.
No. Yeah, so if there's one thing that I think anybody can agree about this film gets into it. This film could be many things. Boring is not one of them.
Boring is not one of them.
Yes. Slow burn is not one of them.
No. Maybe the way that some of the scenes are placed and the order could be changed a little bit to make it flow a little better. Yeah. And some things are definitely been cut out. Yeah. There are some gaps that you're like, whoa. Yeah. What happened? Yeah. But so we have a very stacked cast as well. Yeah. Like Jared Leto, love him or hate him, mostly hate him. Yep. He's a decent actor. He's a big name at least.
He is being himself in this movie.
Yes. Matt Smith, a doctor from Doctor Who. Yep. He is going to be in the new Game of Thrones.
Which I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm here for. And Prince Philip.
And he's in Prince Philip. Tyrese Gibson is in this, earning that paycheck. Jared Harris, who is Amanda Thano, refuses to learn his name.
Nope. He's that guy.
He is that guy.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Like, those are big names. Yeah. Relatively big names, right? And boy, oh boy, are some of them giving it something.
They're giving it.
They're giving it something.
They're giving it.
With the exception of Matt Smith. I feel like Matt Smith saw this script. He said, well, I'm going to get paid.
He was here for a good show.
He said, I'm going to get paid regardless. Might as well have fun.
And he did.
He has the most fun in his screen time out of anybody in this fucking movie.
I think if the world had not already seen Bully Maguire, you could say this was up there. Bully Maguire was just so new. That was just so new to us.
Yes.
That anything that comes after will just not catch that magic in a bottle.
Yes, this is as close as we get.
But if we take historical context out,
yes,
this was Bully Maguire.
This is Bully Maguire for Gen Z.
Yes.
This is Gen Z's Bully Maguire. All right, so just a quick rundown. So Michael Morbius has a blood disease. We don't know what the blood disease is.
Don't care.
I don't think the movie knows what the blood disease is. Yeah. He finds bats, and he says, I'm going to splice my DNA with vampire DNA.
Yep.
Not vampire bats.
Vampire
DNA.
Yes.
He sticks himself after he tests it on a rat.
Yeah.
He kills a whole ship worth of people.
Yep.
Then he believes he kills a nurse.
Yeah. And he doesn't.
He doesn't. He gets into a fight with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Who turns out to have killed the nurse.
Yeah.
Then they fight. and profit.
Profit. Now you forgot the most important part.
Go on.
Now I haven't listened to too many reviews for this or read too many reviews. Did a lot of people notice what I noticed in the scene with the bats in the tank?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody noticed.
Okay.
So, yes.
I think that's a very important plot point.
Yes. So, you wanna...
So there's a scene where he's in his tank of bats.
A tank of bats?
In this laboratory where everybody can just walk into at any time, by the way. The bats are around him. He's a vampire at this point, right?
Yeah, he has the DNA in him.
Yes, and he's standing there, half naked and muscular.
Yeah, he's like the bats treat me like a brethren.
And then you hear, boom.
Yeah.
And I was like, I turned to Javier and I was like, is this the Dark Knight theme?
And I burst out laughing because I'm like, I heard it the first time and I was like, this sounds really familiar. Where have I heard this?
Yeah.
And then I saw some reviews and they're like, these motherfuckers straight up sampled
Yeah.
the Dark Knight theme, and I was like, oh, Thana's gonna get a kick out of this. I was waiting.
That's brave.
It's brave, but in a really stupidly funny way.
Yes.
Like, I got a good chuckle out of it.
Yeah.
I think all it did was elevate.
Absolutely. This has gone beyond Lunchables.
Yes.
This is Mariano's brand Lunchables.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing about this movie. I think the reason why it didn't work for a lot of people, other than the bad plot, the bad acting, the bad effects, is that it doesn't lean into the stupid enough.
No, it needs more stupid.
It needs Venom Let There Be Carnage levels of stupid.
Which, to be fair, Venom 1 did not lean into the stupid as much as Venom 2 did.
Not as much, but it did lean heavily into the stupid.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have Tom Hardy jumping into a tank of lobsters and eating one without being like, yeah, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, I think in the perfect world where this movie is inevitably getting a sequel, judging by the box office numbers and the memes and how tone deaf people really, really are,
and how it's gonna be just celebrated after this review and our millions of fans.
Yes,
go and watch it.
In a perfect world, in that sequel, it will lean into the stupid.
Yeah.
There is going to be a scene where Michael Morbius goes, it's Morbin time, and he just hulks out.
Yeah.
Because you can't not lean into the memes.
Yeah, and I think that if this perfect world exists, Sony actually has a pretty cool opportunity on their hands where they could just be the dark, stupid, superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whereas DC tried to be dark and not stupid.
Dark and gritty, like
that didn't work. X-Men was just stupid and convoluted, and like
the bad ones.
The bad ones.
Yes. Right,
and rebooted like 3 times by the time that was, finally put out to pasture.
Mm-hmm.
MCU is being MCU. I think there could be a world where we could coexist between the stupid timeline,
yes,
and the Marvel timeline, and I could be happy with both.
There is a happy medium in The Boys.
Yes.
Where it does go dark, very dark.
Yeah.
It does go light, and then goes very stupid.
And it's very competently made.
It's very and that's, I think, is the biggest factor.
This is not competently made.
Oh, hell no.
But there's potential for the stupid.
Yes.
To be so one thing that I got actually of both of these viewings, there's that phrase where people say there's a good movie in here.
Mm-hmm.
So in Crimes Against the Future.
Against the Future.
Crimes Against my Friday night.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad I went. I don't think there's enough to say that there's a good movie in there. Like you say there's concepts, fair enough.
Yes.
I don't think there's enough of interest where I'm like, oh, there's a good movie buried somewhere in here. I think that this is that man just masturbating himself, and it comes out crusty and purple. In this movie, I think it's very different. I was also waiting to see if it would be like, oh, there's a good movie in here, but it's just bad. I think there is a serviceable movie
in Morbius
that is actually not covered and hidden, but is instead just undercut by its marketing campaign and post-credit scenes.
Yes.
I think if you watch from beginning to end and had not seen any trailers and do not watch those post-credit scenes, I think you actually have you have a C movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a C tier movie.
I won't even say higher because I feel like this is a C tier movie.
With the post-credit scenes. That's what I'm saying. I think if you watch Morbius, beginning to end, no post-credit scenes, I think what you have is like a fun C tier movie.
Yes.
One that I would sit down and watch again.
Yeah, just stop at the very end.
Yeah.
When you see Martine open her eyes at the end of the movie, just turn it off.
And yet, while their setup is stupid, I said this to you as we were either eating lunch or out of the theater. If they're willing to lean into it, I think it could kind of work, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you compare this to what's going on with DC, where you have whatever's going on in the fucking Flashpoint, which is taking a decade, right? And they have to find their way to logic their way into whatever they're going to do right now. To me, I read about the potential of that strategy, and in my brain, I just go like, that's too much work.
Yes.
Just like fucking snap your fingers and say, these don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is what we're doing now. This is kind of that, where it's like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, we love Michael Keaton. Just,
Yep.
just deal with it. And you know what? Like, as long as we as an audience are collectively able to agree, like, yes, this is fine. This is the stupid timeline. We'll deal with the stupid timeline. I think that could work for some good fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do. They need to realize they have to leave the multiverse connectivity to the Feiges of the world.
Yes.
Like you said, if they are perfectly happy with just leaving Keaton in the world of Morbius and doing a Sinister Six movie, I feel like you could have fun.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why we're watching this movie was because it was re-released after a very successful troll campaign by fans.
Twitter is much more popular than it should be. Or not much more powerful than it should be.
Yes. I mean, we went through 4 years of policy change through Twitter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But one of the things that I was not prepared for on my rewatch was just how many things stood out to me as like just weird, like, quirks.
Did you make a list?
I did make I did make a couple of things. So
I saw you making that list.
Number one, we are introduced to the main bad guy. Now you might be like, wait, who is that? Mm-hmm. His name is Lucian. Yeah. Who is promptly changed to Milo.
And there's no reason.
There's zero reason other than to say that little Michael Morbius is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, you are Milo, but I'm Lucian. Nope,
yep.
You are, and to the point where like, is that even like a fun nickname between friends?
The
doctor
calls him Milo.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
On my first watch through. Second thing, I love the Greek bullies.
Yeah. Who are not speaking any actual Greek.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
I think they're speaking English.
But there's a flash of them seemingly... I heard a flash of them seemingly speaking a foreign language. But it did not sound like Greek to me.
Oh. I thought they were just reading the note.
Yeah, later. Like, as they're kicking him, I thought I heard something.
Oh. Huh.
But yeah.
But yeah, so they're like cartoonishly like mean. That was interesting.
And I want to piggyback briefly. The establishing shot that we are in Greece shows some sort of ancient temple.
Sure.
That I'm 99.99% sure is not in that condition or exists at all.
I think that's just an establishing shot to be like, yes, look at the bottom. It says we're in Greece. This is Greece.
Yes, I know, but it's like if you took a screenshot of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh,
like,
I see. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
There's a little black girl that shows up in the movie. So that goes to your point, right? So you're like, what the fuck is this? Is this a lab? Is this a
hospital?
A hospital? A house?
Yeah.
So it's, from what I remember, it is a hospital with a lab in it.
Yeah.
The Horizon Lab.
Right.
And he has a patient who I'm assuming has the same blood disease as he does.
Yeah.
He is working to help cure her too.
Oh, where did she go?
So she starts like having a seizure.
Yeah.
He puts her into like a medically induced coma.
Yeah.
And that is the last we ever see of this little girl.
We see her
once
on the ventilator.
Yes,
yeah.
when he thinks he killed and ate the nurse.
Yeah.
But other than that, nothing at the end.
Where he is just strutting around this lab.
Yeah?
Yeah. Without his crutches.
Without his... Yes, he is not putting up a front.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my second point. I understand that he does not have full use of his forelimbs.
Yeah.
Fine, I get it. He has a medical condition.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, buy some fucking Velcro shoes or slip-ons. He is walking around, dragging his legs, shoelaces untied, and then he becomes hot Jared Leto Jesus-looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he still has
untied
untied shoes.
Yeah. Shoes are a big motif in this movie, as we also noticed.
Do you want to tell about my other shoe thing?
So our king, Matt Smith,
in
this movie also wears some jank-ass shoes.
He wears some Rudy Giuliani.
Those are some gardening shoes.
Those are Dad mowed the lawn and now he's flipping burgers on the grill shoes.
Those are in 2020. I trained and ran a 10K using that same pair of shoes. Noticed that they were probably needed to be retired, and then used them only for laying down mulch and planting vegetables and stepping in mud. And those shoes that I have are still
those shoes Stano donated to Goodwill and Matt Smith picked up.
And Matt Smith said, "No, those shoes are too nice for me." Got the shittier shoes.
Got the shit. And
he's strutting in the club.
He's strutting in the club. So he's rich, right?
Yeah.
He is rich. He is the one funding,
which they barely explain. They explain, but they barely.
So this is where I compare to Cramps of the Future, where this movie shows you that he is stepping out of a fancy ass limousine.
Yeah.
So that to you it shows you that he comes from money.
Right.
That is why he is then when they say, "Hey, the boss, your cripple's here to see you."
Yeah.
In Russian. That kind of like, okay, so he comes from money. That's how he's able to fund.
Wait, LOL. So that's when Morbius comes to see him, right?
Yes.
So the boss is a cripple. And his bodyguard tells him, hey, a cripple is...
And cripples, that is a very good point.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you can't afford some New Balance? Some nice New Balances.
I think there's like a cinematic trope. One of my favorite movies is The Big Short, right?
Sure.
Christian Bale's character dresses like shit,
sure.
Much like I am dressed today. But he's this like genius who is such a genius that he's perfectly fine and empowered to dress like shit.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for. But it's hilarious.
Maybe initially when he's like all disheveled, he's wearing like grandpa jeans.
Yeah.
He's wearing like the corduroy.
But it's hilarious.
And then so he gets all fixed up. He gets into like a nice suit.
Yeah.
He goes to visit Morbius at the prison.
Right.
And he shows up as his lawyer.
Yeah.
In a suit.
Yeah.
With those fucking tennis shoes.
With those shoes.
He goes to a bar. And tries to pick up a honey.
With those shoes.
To which I told you, how would you feel if you see this very, very good-looking man with a very nice suit, a very nicely done tie,
a dapper face.
Yeah. He offers to buy you a drink.
Yeah.
And then you look down at his shoes and you see that.
What are those?
Like. Would you immediately be like, this guy might be a fucking serial killer with those shoes?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
It is amazing. Just objectively in the fashion sense, it is amazing how shoes can throw off an outfit. Which I will say, so when I was a kid, this is like kind of elitist and definitely not very Christian. But like, I went to church every Sunday.
Sure.
Right. You could tell the kids who didn't go to church every Sunday because they would show up in nice church clothes, but tennis shoes. And my friends and I were like, what fucking mom is letting their kid out with like them shoes?
Yeah.
But shoes can ruin an outfit.
And this movie, I feel like, is proof of that. Because you have a very good-looking man.
Yeah.
Doing a very fun dance routine.
Yeah.
He's working out.
Yeah.
He's getting jacked.
Yeah.
And then you just look down and you just really want to be like, one of those!
Yeah.
I don't know. And even then, you have, like, we were talking about characters just doing dumb shit, like kind of being like stupid. I feel like the detectives in this are kind of stupid.
Yes.
To the point where they're investigating the main lady doctor, who's the love interest.
Right.
They go to her house. She's not there. The guy says, I'm gonna get this cat's attention.
Yeah.
And he goes, here, kitty, kitty. And he shakes the litter box. Yep. Like the cat's gonna be like, oh boy, a treat.
Time to shake. And there's no cat.
And there's no cat.
Their colleagues, their fellow NYPD officers, get murdered in a public subway.
Yeah?
They suspect that Morbius has done this.
Mm-hmm.
They do not check the subway security cams. There are no witnesses in the subway. But when some counterfeiters... No, not the counterfeiters.
No, it's the Joe Schmoes at the bar.
Scumbags at the club are murdered. He sees CCTV, and he's like, oh.
Also, and it's not even like CCTV of like the inside of the bar. This is like the fucking parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, you are going to get way better quality.
Yeah.
I feel like CCTV footage from a subway.
From the subway, yeah.
Like then,
after 9/11, there's got to be some.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See something.
Yeah.
See something. Say something.
Say something.
And
what they did not say, though, this is a total segue. What they did not say, though, was a good use of their one F word for this movie.
You don't think so?
I had to point it out to you. You didn't realize they said fuck.
I didn't. No.
Yeah, it was in the background. It was not like Top Guns.
Yes.
Yeah. This was a hidden F word, and if this movie deserves, I forgot the word. I was gonna say sire, but that's not the word. No. If this movie deserves scorn,
sure.
For one thing, it should be that they wasted their one F word.
Huh. How? Okay, so where would you put this?
Said by a main character loudly. I don't know where.
No, but what would you say that this would be a good movie for Matt Smith to be the one who's having fun?
No, it has to be. It has to be an American. It has to be an American.
You think it has to be an American?
Yeah, British people cannot hoorah F word. It has to be. It has to be an American.
He should have been like, it's fucking Morbius time.
Actually, one of the detectives. I think one of the detectives should have been like, should have said the F word.
Did you? I think I pointed it out at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Tyrese walks in, and I go, hey, look at his fucking robot arm. Yeah. And you go, what?
Yeah.
There's a whole thing. Like in the trailer, you see him, he's got a robot arm, which is kind of slightly referenced when they approach.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, he's like, hey, your fake blood, fix my arm, save my arm. And it just doesn't...
You don't notice
anything. Yeah. To the point where like they hide it at every step of the movie until like the very last like scene.
Yeah. So like we said at the beginning, not a good movie.
No.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to have fun with.
There's a lot to have fun with.
So I pointed this out in our... So when we do our outlines, we talk about different topics. One of the things that I say, like, if a movie is dog shit, is there any redeeming quality? That was more relevant to our last movie, which I honestly would say is dog shit if we were going to use Jeremy John's rating system. I would say this movie falls very deeply into the good time if you're drunk.
Right.
Like, I could see this becoming like a Halloween night staple with like drinks.
If this was still in one of those years where I'm flipping to the channels, I pass FX, and I actually watch anything that's on FX, and this was on FX, I'd be like, I will sit down and watch Morbius.
Yes. And I don't think we need to go into details because we've already talked about a lot of things that we like in this, but like I feel like there are, like we said, there are a lot of things that I would say are redeeming qualities in the movie.
Name one and I'll name one.
Name one?
Yeah.
Matt Smith.
Yep.
Matt Smith, hands down, just like takes this movie from like D tier to like C tier alone, maybe B tier.
Yeah.
He is having so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like when he kills the cops, and he starts fucking twirling and dancing.
Yeah.
Like that.
Very enjoyable.
Very enjoyable.
Now here's the thing. I think you could take that enjoyable part. I think you could say that is ironically good. Whereas I very much enjoyed it. Something that I would say is unironically good is that the fate of something is not at stake in this movie.
Yes, you mentioned that during the movie, right?
Not the fate of the universe.
Mm-mm.
Not the fate of New York.
Mm-mm.
Right? Like, it is very much a contained Milo versus Morbius.
Very personal, very low stakes overall.
Which is something that people have a lot of problem with
doing.
Movies, or with superhero movies, excuse me.
Yes.
Right? So that actually I found, unironically, I found that actually kind of refreshing. Right? Because you don't see that a lot anymore in superhero movies.
Sure.
So props to this movie for that. There Smith, though, I think is the most enjoyable.
Yeah, one more thing that I guess I will say, now that I was thinking about things that like are unironically good. Mm-hmm. There is one scene where we're led to believe that it's Michael, but it's actually Matt Smith.
Yeah.
He is like hunting the nurse. We kind of touched briefly on it.
Yeah.
That was a genuinely like good, tense, like horror movie scene thrown in here, which I think could work if you made like a straight horror, because they've been trying to make a horror movie, superhero movie. We got kind of close with Doctor Strange, but even then, that's very like barely bare bones horror.
Yeah.
They tried with New Mutants, which was terrible.
Right.
I think if they want to lean into a horror based superhero movie, this could have been it.
Yeah.
So maybe in the next one, if they decide, hey, maybe let's actually try to make this good.
I still want it to be silly.
I do.
Yeah.
You can have silly, but there could also be like a horror version. There is somewhere, like I said, in the perfect universe, not ours, in the perfect multiverse, there is a version of this movie where it's a straight horror movie.
And it works.
And it works because you do get some of that also, like in the container ship.
Yeah.
There are some like tense moments of the people like freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
But that's Michael Morbius. You know what the funny thing is? I think I mentioned this to you. It made way more money than Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Yes. No, but that was simultaneous release, right?
That was simultaneous release.
Yeah. I didn't see that in theaters. I just saw it on HBO Max.
You are part of the problem, Donna.
Well, it was available to me.
But you didn't see Wonder Woman? Yeah.
No, I didn't see Wonder Woman 19. I tried to watch it.
Did you fall asleep?
No, I think it was Christmas, actually. And I was like,
That did come out like right on Christmas, didn't it?
I was like, I'm bored. Yeah.
You know, Katie and I did actually go see that in theaters instead of watching at home.
Yeah.
We were like, fuck it, we'll brave it.
There you go.
We braved it out for New Mutants, Sano.
You risked your life. Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. That September we were like, we're gonna risk COVID.
And that was that September 2021.
September 2020.
What was your first COVID movie? That
New Mutants.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Were you back in school by then? In person? No.
Oh hell no.
Okay.
No, it was all virtual.
So I was in person, and I think at that point, for me at least, I was like, well, if I'm in person, then everything else is the same.
Yeah, you know what? I was deprived.
Yeah.
As someone who loves the theater. But I will say, I think I said this is my closing point. I looked at Tano in the very beginning of the movie and I said, you know what the funniest thing of this movie is? It came out on April 1st, 2022. And you know what? That kind of leans into the maybe they are somewhat self-aware.
I think they are.
All right. Anything else that you would like to say before we wrap it up?
No, so I think, I don't know if the people at home will have listened to our How I Met Your Mother episode yet. It's a podcast. You can listen to whatever the fuck you want, whenever the fuck you want.
Sure.
But in that episode, we talk a lot about how the way you experience the show, whether it's streamed or week to week, affects your experience with it. This movie is very much a victim of its marketing, its post-credit scene. I know I've said this before, but now that I think back to most of the critiques I have and when people are angry, it's that Adrian Toomes scene, and then how
there's no Spider-Man cameo,
right?
How there's no connection,
how that's teased, and I don't know what to say about that other than what's already been said. Where if you strip all that away, which is very easy to, you have something that's very passable, right? And maybe, while a lot of people have like franchise and extended universe fatigue, maybe this is kind of carving a pathway of like, yes, we acknowledge that like that genre of superhero film is here. We're just gonna say fuck it, and we're gonna ask you to come along for the ride. And if you don't, that's perfectly okay.
So to add something to that, so you know how people have, like when they talk about comedy, they're like, oh, you have your high concept comedy, and then you have like your lowest common denominator slapstick comedy. I feel like this is that argument. You have your highbrow superhero movies. These are your well-made, well-crafted, well-thought-out MCU movies. And then you know what? Sometimes we just need the dumb and stupid.
Yeah.
That knows it's dumb and stupid.
Yeah, which was all throughout the 90s.
All throughout the 90s.
Which was all throughout the 90s.
And a lot of people did say that this movie reminded them a lot of like an early
90s Batman,
early 2000s like Ghost Rider.
Yeah. It reminded them musically a lot of a 2008 Batman movie.
And on that note, I think that's where, for our first double feature.
Not bad.
Not bad. We were able to knock out 2 movies, bim bam boom.
Yeah.
We were
better than our initial idea of juxtaposing a movie about a Christian saint with a movie about making a porno. Which
surprisingly, I think it would have fit.
I bet it would have.
Surprisingly. But we can now save X for its own thing when the trilogy
comes out. Excellent.
Okie dokie. All right. Well, until next time, you can follow us at the Cine-Scoots on Twitter. Yeah. I am Javier.
I'm Fano.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.